The newest version of Xopero ONE and JIT number 1.2.5 has been just released, so it's a great opportunity to take a look what's inside of the newest release. So first of all, it brings us the new feature, which is Test Restore. It helps you to instantly verify your VMware virtual machine backups. There is no better way to make sure your copy works than just restore that copy. So from now, you can automate this process and sleep well. Test Restore will help you also to plan your disaster recovery scenario. Based on this process, you can measure how long does it take to restore your crucial virtual machines, and thanks to it, you can be better prepared for any disaster. You can also automate the entire test restore process, or in general restore process, because you can recover those virtual machines to disaster recovery site or to production. It's just up to you. You can everything easily set up directly in Xopero ONE. We've also improved Git backup planning. So from now you can select exactly which Git metadata you want to backup while setting up the backup plan. In previous versions of JIT and Xopero ONE, you have to select if you want to protect the entire repository and all metadata, or just repository with no metadata at all. So from now, you can choose particular metadata like, for example, issues, pull request, hooks, deployment keys, and anything else you want to be protected. And there are, of course, few more changes and improvements. Like, for example, with basic backup scheduler, you can easily select what kind of copy should be done when you're triggering this backup manually. So, for example, if you demand to trigger the full copy, you can do with just a few clicks and you don't have to change the scheduler or anything else. There is also improved JIT backup and recovery process to make it faster and more reliable. And of course, there are a lot of major bug fixes. Maybe not a lot, but we can find their major bug fixes. How to update Xopero ONE to 1.2.5? First of all, what you need to know, the newest feature, VM Test Restore, works only for backups that has been made by Xopero ONE since the newest release. So any previous copy won't work with that feature. And of course, do not forget to update the agent and virtual appliance, what I'm going to present to you right now. So here we've got Xopero ONE Management Console already updated to the newest version, so we are ready to go with our test restore plan. So we have go to plans and find out our restore. But of course, what we need to keep in mind, firstly, we have to update our virtual appliance, as well as we have also to make the new fresh backups of our virtual machines. Once everything is done, you have to log into your Xopero ONE management service, go to plans, choose restore option, and then you can easily add a new plan. First of all, we have to provide the plan name as for each kind of plan created in Xopero ONE. So let's say it will be restore plan, and then we have to select the storage where our backup is stored, and of course from which we want to restore our copy. In the next step, we have to choose which virtual machine we are going to recover. So let me choose, for example, the Windows one. Always there is restored the newest version, so we don't have to choose the version, but of course we can choose how we should restore our virtual machine. So it could be whole machine restore, for example, to prepare some disaster recovery site, but also we can use instant restore to make sure that our copy works. We have to set up the restore settings, like the environment. We are going to restore our virtual machine in both scenario, in whole machine restore and for instant restore, as you can see already on the screen. I'm going to restore to the same original location, so the only thing I have to change is virtual machine name, and let's name it instant recovery. So it will be the name for our restored virtual machine. I'm not going to change any of other settings, so let me proceed to the next step. And here we have to choose the device that will be used to restore our virtual machine. I'm going to use the newest virtual appliance I have already deployed, so it's already updated to the version 1.2.5. Let me press save. And now we have to select how we are going to verify our virtual machine. So we can define how long Xopero ONE should wait for the virtual machine to be restored and to be boot up. So in total, we can, for example, in these settings, in total, we can wait even up to 3 hours for virtual machine to be restored and to be booted up. Of course, in such a case, we don't need such a long time because we are using instant recovery feature, which usually restores the virtual machine in time less than 2-3 minutes. So we can power on virtual machine when it's restored, and of course we are going to do so. We can also take screenshot of restored virtual machine, and after that, once everything is done, the virtual machine has to be removed. And that's our settings. So let me press save, and then we can also schedule when and how often our test restore should be triggered. So let's say I would like to do it once per week on Sundays around 2 p.m. So it will be the great time because I'm quite sure no one will be working at that time on this virtual environment. So let me press save, and now we can just save and wait for our plan to be triggered regarding to the scheduler setting, or I can press just save and run to trigger my test restore manually. Let's refresh the view of restore plan, and here is my restore plan that I've just created. And let's go to tasks. Already there are 2 different tasks running. The first is instant restore task, which always will be triggered when you are going to use instant recovery, no matter on how it will be running, if you will trigger it manually or automatically. And below we've got information that it's restore plan, so it's backup copy verification process. It's already in progress, and right now we need to wait a while for our virtual machine to be tested. But of course, I've tested before, so now I would like to show you how you can be informed that your virtual machine has been restored successfully. Of course, you can be notified over the email, but also we can find exactly the same information here on the task list. I had pretty similar configuration of our restore tasks, so you can see it took around 3.5 minutes to make me sure that my virtual machine backup is restorable and works pretty well. It's also the time for me to plan my disaster recovery scenario that within around 3.5 minutes, I may have my operating system up and ready to work. And if we will take a look to task details, we can see there is even virtual machine screenshot taken. So that's how we can be sure that our backups works well and we are able to work with such virtual machine. So as you can see, everything is pretty easy and we've got clear information that everything works well. So even though you can check that the virtual machine was successfully restored, it was restored within just 5 seconds, and the rest of the time was time needed to boot up the machine. So the process went pretty well and pretty smooth. So if you don't know how to update your virtual appliance, first of all, you have to use your preferred SSH client. You have also to find out the IP address of your virtual appliance. You can do so by going to settings, workers, and here is your Xopero ONE virtual appliance and also its IP address. So this is the information I'm looking for. Here is my preferred SSH client, and now we just need to access it. So now the login is Xopero, and let me provide the IP address. The password you can find saved in the Secure Password Manager. I've got it already stored in my SSH client. And then you have to find out and download the installer. So once you're on Devices tab, press Add Device, find out the Linux installer, right-click on the installer, press Copy Link Address, and then go back to your SSH client. You can easily download the installer using wget feature, and now it can be downloaded automatically. Once it will be downloaded, you have to change its permissions, its mode to be executable, and then just run the installer and follow the installation steps. So as you can see, the update procedure of virtual appliance is pretty easy and pretty smooth. You can also, instead of updating the agent inside the virtual appliance, just deploy the new one. But it will be way faster to run the installer and update the current version of the virtual appliance, as you can see already on the screen. So I've just changed the mode, and now I can run the installer like super user. Oh,